So this is the new tank that I set up. I set it up I think about 4 weeks ago. Not too sure. Sometime the second week of October. And I just put these plants in a couple days ago. They're just basic beginner plants. Nothing really too special about them besides the fact that they don't really need to be rooted. I can just leave them floating for a few days. No big deal. Here I'm adjusting the water flow, turning it down because it's just a little bit too strong for the shrimp that I have in there. So here I am removing Elodea from the tank, just picking them out from the top because they float pretty easily. What I'm going to do with them is I'm basically going to cut them into sections so that each section starts growing as its own plant, as opposed to keeping them all these like as one big segment. Yeah, the roots were stuck on that one. Yeah, so I think I have like 4 or 5 long stems. And what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting them, propagating them basically, so that I have more. It's actually not that hard. This plant is really, really easy. Just make angled cuts. And then this is water wisteria. I got a bunch of shrimp clinging to it because there's algae growing on it. There's one stubborn shrimp on it still. Yeah, I lost the other footage for this, but I basically clean up the plant's leaves of algae and I trim it a little bit. And this is where I learned that I can't do any of this one-handed while recording. it's kind of how do I? How do even? And so I put the camera down. And I basically, like I said, just clean up the leaves, trim up the tops, and return it back to the tank. Just tossing them in here. I like this plant specifically because it can be grown just in the substrate, or you can just have it floating near the top and it'll eventually root and change form. So this plant actually has two different like morphs. There's the floating wisteria. So the tops just float around for a couple weeks until they root, and the leaves will change into these thin needle-like leaves. Completely different from the plant in the background there, but it is the same plant. So I got some shrimp as well. Not too many. I think I only got like 8 blue shrimp. They're blue-black, but I think they have a bunch of mixed genes, I think. I'm assuming currently, but that's what I suspect. Here's an empty molt. You can see a little bit of red in the blue, so that's where I kind of assume that it has a little bit of mixed genetics. But yeah, they're molting in there, which means the water quality is fine. They've only been in there for 2 days, 3 days at the most. So I'm a little bit lazy to plant these right now, so I'm just gonna shove them in the ground and let them root. These you have to unfurl the magnet and the cotton, and there's a bunch of little plantlets that you have to plant very delicately. Like, I don't have the ability to use both hands right now, so I'm gonna skip that. The shrimp seem not to care though. I also have a red turbo nerite. Yeah. It's got a cool little stripe down the middle of its shell. I think they got these from breeding normal brown nerites until this happened. But it's pretty cool. Nice and bright red. So I fed the shrimp a little bit, and the snails too. I left this in the tank for a few hours, and when it started breaking apart, I just removed it. Here you can see a prego shrimpy. If you look closely at her abdomen, you can see all those little green eggs. It's kind of hard because my camera sucks. Here she is on a leaf. You can see her fanning her eggs. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I have 2 females in here that are carrying eggs. So here's a shot of the same female. They just like hanging around the root system, picking up whatever little bits of food they can catch. They are just eating like this all day, every day. Hopefully soon my tank will be full of these little shrimpy boys. This is a kitty boy. Kitty boy. Oh yeah, there's baby shrimp. So I'm assuming that one of them gave birth. Although the shrimp is red. So that's why I figure these are some mixed genetic shrimps. Gave birth to a red shrimp, interestingly. Here is the shrimpy on a mesh. Oh yeah, I put the mesh over the filter so any shrimps wouldn't get sucked in. Here we have 2 assassin snails. They're always moving around the tank. Sometimes they do this. They kind of crawl on the surface tension of the tank and then surf around using the current. Or they just float there like this. Round and round he floats. Some people call this snail surfing. I think it's pretty funny. Look at him go. Yeah, so that's the tank. Not much right now, but it's getting started. Definitely going to get more ground coverage in here. And definitely going to get more shrimp. I think I'm going to hold off on planting like the really colorful background plants until a little bit later down the line. No real reason for that, just I want to give myself some time to really think about what I want to put in here. I want to use this as a grow out tank, but that just means I have to set up another tank. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, well, thank you for watching. It's been a learning experience messing up this entire first video, but I think I did a good enough job for my first try. Boop. Boop.